What is up and how's it going? Welcome back to another edition of the Noble Steady Sorta Sports Talk. This could be our normal show. This is episode 22, I believe, of the Noble Steady Sorta Sports Talk. And we're getting up there. We can drink alcohol, we can gamble. Pretty soon, our car insurance will go down too, as a show. We're growing together, everybody. We're growing together, everybody. My name is Tyler, as y'all all know, and I'm here with my co-host Joey. Joey, how's it going, buddy?
So I just had my mind blown by you know how you get like the reels and the TikTok stuff and all that.
Yeah.
So there was a reel that I saw, and they were talking about Back to the Future Part 3.
Yes.
If you watch the very end, you see the scene. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen this movie yet, you've been living under a rock.
I feel like you can't do a spoiler alert for a movie that's damn near 40 years old.
There's a scene where Marty is seeing Doc and his family, and so he gives them the picture with them from 1885, and he goes, he's talking to Jennifer, because Jennifer got a fax from 2015 that Marty had been fired, and then it disappeared, and so she asked about it. And so while he's explaining that your future hasn't been written yet, the kid, it's the blonde-haired kid, has his hand by his hip, and he's doing this. And then he points at himself toward his crotch to be like, I have to pee. The number of times I have seen that movie and have never noticed that ever. Like, I'm so shook by that. I'm so shocked by that a feather can knock me down.
Wow. All right.
Are you trying to picture this? Are you trying to picture this scene?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I'm just not really sure on.
I'll text it to
you.
Yeah,
to send it to me. Yeah,
I'll just tell you, like,
see the full grasp of this.
Forward it to 2 minutes into the clip and just watch from there.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll have to do that. Well, y'all heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out that clip. It's sure to shock you. But
I've never noticed that ever in my life, and it's just like as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh my god, that's all I can see now.
I got you. All right. Well, I'll have to take a look at it, and I'll definitely let you know and see if it inspires the same reaction here. But welcome back, everybody. Go check out that clip, like Joey said. It's sure to knock your socks off. But we had another interesting week of sports. We had the NFL. The NBA is going on as well. Controversy in the college football world, which, of course, it's that time of year. And then we're going to have a Stars update. That's kind of the way this show is going to roll today. Joey, anything you want to add before we get this rolling?
No, man. Let's get this show on the road. Let's talk about let's talk about the Saints a little bit.
All right,
I'm wearing my gold. You got your Saints hat on.
Saints hat, Saints sweatshirt.
You kind of get to the point where you want them to get as high a pick as possible, but then you get, if they start winning, as close as the South is, look, if you can make the playoffs, I think for the players themselves, like, go ahead, do it. Like, at the end of the day, like, we want them to get the number one pick, but they're playing for jobs. Rizzy wants the head coaching job, so you have to respect the fact that they're gonna try to win. So you kind of want them to win at all costs and do what they can. And if they make the playoffs, and great, that's awesome. It's a little more merch coming our way if we're fans. So I was kind of upset that I was happy that they lost, but then at the same time, I'm like, man, that sucks they lost. So I've kind of lost that go for the number one pick mentality. Like, if you can win.
Yeah, I mean, look. So for those who don't know, I'm gonna run through the game real quick, and then we can break down more. I've been thinking about this a lot. I got a whole different thought process that I've had recently. But for those who didn't catch the game, the Saints have unfortunately lost to the Rams 21-14. Derek Carr finished the game with 24 of 37 for 187 yards. Unfortunately, that's only a 7.7 average. I feel like that's one of the main issues with this offense right now. And unfortunately, that average is with the big chunk play to MVS for the touchdown. So that kind of tells you where we're at, like where the majority of the passes were going. Close to the line of scrimmage. There wasn't a lot of yards, a lot of checkdowns, that kind of thing. There was 2 killer penalties. The O-line struggled a lot today. I mean, in the game. I will say I do want to give them credit though. They were down starting center. They were down. They lost the left guard during the game. Nick Saliveri had to come out. So I get it. We're playing low, but I mean, with low numbers, but man, it's got to get better somewhere, somehow. Like, get Derek Carr out of the pocket. I mean, I think the last play just shows puts it perfectly when he throws they called it an incomplete pass. It was a fumble. And he held on the ball for 4 seconds. I mean, that was probably the best pass protection he got all day. I mean, Kamara stays efficient. I don't know, man. It's just there's bright spots that I want to focus on, and then there's also things that just need to change. Like, I was thinking about this. Like, I was thinking about this a lot, right? I think it's not so much blowing it up and getting number 1 pick and everything like that, because there are pieces on this team. Because in that first half, Stafford wasn't doing anything for the Rams. He really wasn't. Tyrann Mathieu just seemed to be the missing link and just confusing the crap out of Stafford, or just making him feel uncomfortable in coverage. But the minute he went out, they just started tearing us apart, and it was obvious. And unfortunately, some bad news to report is Taysom Hill is lost for the year due to a torn ACL. Wasn't a huge fan with the way they were using him this game. Kind of felt like the old Sean Payton days, where it was just like, hey, we're just gonna line him up in the backfield, let him do quarterback power. I liked when they were getting creative with him, like put him in the backfield, put him at tight end, getting him out in space, that kind of thing. I didn't get that vibe this game. The Rams did a really good job of stopping him, believe it or not. I think he only had like 10 yards rushing. But I think the team needs a soft reboot, because, like I said, there are some bright spots, and I don't know if a full blow it up, we got to suck for 3 years, is totally necessary anymore. I like Rizzy as a motivator, and I think the Saints are going to give him every opportunity to win the job and give him a reason not to, for them not to let him go. But man, you got to go at least 6-2 over these 8 games you got, and you've already lost 1. I think 2 makes it really hard for them to justify it. 3, I don't think they keep you, even if you win the rest of them. But we got some tough games ahead. I like the energy he brought. I don't know if they're going to keep him though, and I just really feel bad for Alvin Kamara. I mean, he just keeps being efficient, running the ball. Like, he had dang near 100 yards, and it didn't even feel like it. I don't know about you, but watching that game, it didn't feel like he was dominating like that. It just,
I think it was just the way, just the way this team feels. You don't feel like you're getting that kind of domination out of anybody. Even in the games that they've, in the last 2 games that they've won, it just feels like a different team. I guess it's that, we haven't had this feeling, I think, ever, that our coach has been fired midseason. I think we discussed that before. So you kind of just feel like this lame duck, like, aura of the team, and you look at it, and yes, they can still win games, but you kind of just say, for what? Like, why win now? But again, like I said, it's Rizzy's coaching for his life. To he's gonna, if he doesn't get the Saints head coaching job, he's gonna get a special teams job somewhere.
I definitely think he's gonna get some looks for sure.
Probably Denver, because of what their head coach has shown, that when we get rid of somebody, he's quick to pick them up. So, I mean, I don't know. It's still a wait and see with this team. But like you said, you feel bad for Kamara because he just signed that extension. He got paid, but he wants to be at a winner.
Oh yeah, and I can't blame him.
He wants to stay here, and he's shown that, he's very loyal to this franchise and this city. But we kind of hope we can give him something for that loyalty.
Yeah, there's 2 things I want to touch on with the Saints real quick. I think we're both, and I'm going to try to keep this positive and not trash it here. I have faith that Mickey Loomis can figure it out once again. I know that goes against what I've said on this show before. But he's shown, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. he has been in such, like I said, been in a situation before, and he has nailed drive classes, and that's what we need. We need to nail a drive class here. We're getting ammunition. I think he knows that. We're no longer trying to, how do I put this? We're no longer trying to keep a window open. We're trying to rebuild the window. If that makes any sense. Like, we're no longer trying to keep it open with that little stick of just patchwork. We're going to try to build the foundation again and build around it. But you're not building an entire home. You're just that window. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they can do it. But I don't know if Derek Carr's the answer at QB. I know we're financially committed to him. The issue is that everything has to be right. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. He's a quarterback you can win with, but not a quarterback you're going to win because of. And that's the reason why he's a $30 million quarterback and not a $50 million a year quarterback. But either way, just hoping we can build something around him is troubling, right? Unless we need to figure out a way of, okay, we can't just try to hide that position. That's not a position you can hide, right? It's not like having a lack of a running game, so you just load up, we get more receivers and building a scheme around passing the ball or short passing game. Like, remember when the Saints used to not be able to run the ball at all, right? It would be short little screen passes, short little slant routes. That was the extension of the run game for us. That's hiding a position. We can't do that anymore. You can't do that with the quarterback. So I don't know what the answer is, but I'm worried that there isn't one until next offseason in 26. And my other point is, I want to say about Rizzy, the thing that scares me, I liked what he's done, but it's got to give you a little pause with seeing what Pierce is doing over in Las Vegas, right? Same thing. He came in, lame duck coach. He got fired. He brought new energy. Everybody loved him, blah, blah. He got the job, and now look what's happening, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want this hire to be somebody that's going to build something here.
So I mean, it's Aaron Glenn. It's the same guys that Chicago wants, except for Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a fit here.
Yeah, no, I mean he wants to work with Caleb again.
I can't blame him. I mean, if you're a coach, you want to plant your flag with a quarterback, right? Like, you're going to be married at the hip to him, so might as well.
Yeah, it's tough to be a sports fan in general in this town, really. I mean, the Saints are struggling. You had LSU had a really bad year. Tulane kind of keeps that up for some people.
Yeah, that loss to Memphis though really kind of ruined that one though.
I mean, yeah, now they got to travel to West Point, and you hope they can take care of business, but they pretty much eliminated themselves from the college football playoff with that loss. So,
look, it would have been real interesting if they would have beat Memphis and beat Army, and let's say Boise kind of slips up. They would have made that conversation real interesting.
Would they have hosted a playoff game by being a conference champion? Or because they're a 12 seed, it was you got to travel.
Joe, I'll be honest with you, the way this first year is kind of working out with it, I'm not 100% sure. But
I guess we got to wait and see on Arizona State if they hold.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
it's been a wild year for college football. So, is there anything you want to add about the Saints anymore?
No, I mean, Hill being lost for the rest of the year kind of hurts me fantasy wise. So I'm kind of. And it's already bad enough that I don't have Derrick Henry this week. I don't have Jaden Daniels this week. I don't have key members of my team available in I would say a must-win game for me in the playoffs. Second time I will have ever been in the playoffs in this league since I've joined in 2018.
17, 18, something like that.
Yeah. So in the first year I joined, I was in the playoffs. I haven't been back since. So
really?
Yeah, I looked that up. This is the second time I will have ever made the playoffs.
Dude. And I'm standing on the barrel of not making it for the first time in 4 years.
I mean, think about it though. With me, I had those years where I struggled really bad.
Dude, this league's confusing as hell.
And then, and then we started doing what we're doing now, and we were starting to figure it out. And I feel like this year was the first year where I'm like, okay, I got this. I think I figured it out. And now we're about to revamp it again. And so now I'm like, well, okay, so it's a more traditional fantasy football route where I could keep a couple people.
Yeah, it's keeping 3 people and not having a complete.
But the last 2 years, I think at least last year, I had a shot until the last week of the season to make the playoffs. So
I will say, this has been by far the most frustrating year of fantasy football. And it's actually hilarious because I've said that to multiple people multiple times. It is funny the amount of podcasts I listen to, a fantasy football podcast, that have said the exact same thing. And it's just like, either we have been so wrong or this has been the most frustrating year of fantasy football. Like, to me, I'm just chalking up to CMC, especially in Dynasty, not having that extra firepower-wise, and then DJ Moore taking a step back really killed my team. AJ Brown being out 4 games.
DJ Moore not performing like he should.
That's Shane Waldron, baby. That's Shane Waldron.
That's hurt me a lot.
He's a nice guy, but a shit offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had 2 stops, and somehow his teams get worse. Anyway, but since we're talking about football, let's just dive into the college football playoff. I digress. Yes. Since we're already on the subject, the big controversy is that Alabama in the latest rankings is actually ranked ahead of Miami while still having 1 more loss than they do. So the controversy is that, for those who don't know, Miami did lose to Syracuse by 4 points this following week. Alabama was lingering around. They beat Auburn, who's a 5-7 football team, and now here we go. I'm sorry, Miami. Like, we're going to have a discussion about it, but I'm sorry, Miami. You handle your business. It's not a discussion. You don't lose to Syracuse. Syracuse, who's a solid team, but, not teams that are ranked. You handle your business. We're not having this conversation. Your defense has been shaky at best recently, and you've had some turnovers. I don't hate this. I don't. I know people are going to be like, well, Alabama has 3 losses and they only have 2. Well, I mean, okay, cool. But look who Alabama plays compared to who Miami plays. Like, we looked it up before the show. The only team that's ranked is the team they lost to on their schedule. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how you feel about the subject.
I mean, Alabama lost to a now unranked Oklahoma, lost to an unranked Vanderbilt. So I can kind of see, you got to see their strength of schedule. That's the thing that they preach is strength of schedule. I'm trying to find it right now as we speak.
Well, real quick, while you're looking for that, I mean, Alabama beat Georgia. Alabama's beat Ole Miss. Has beat Tennessee. Yeah, they beat Tennessee. No, they didn't beat Tennessee. They lost Tennessee. No. Yeah, they beat Tennessee, I thought. Hold on. Let me pull up Alabama's schedule.
I was going to say, look it up.
Yeah.
So I just found the strength of schedule off of ESPN's College Football Power Index. Alabama is ranked 17th in strength of schedule, whereas Miami
lost Tennessee. That's right.
Is 55th behind UL Monroe. So
I appreciate you making my points here.
No, yeah, I mean, but the thing is that people are looking at it from the standpoint of Alabama always seems to just mosey their way in, and what like there's nothing you can do about it if you take care of business. The problem is college football ranks you based on what have you done in the back half of the year, not what happens in the beginning of the season. The reason I say that is because Florida State, look at the fiasco that was last year. Florida State took care of business. Their quarterback got hurt the week before the conference championship game.
Right. I'm gonna stop. That's a totally different discussion. And on merit, yeah, they probably should have got in because of record, whatever. But in the letter of the law, it says, it's up to the discretion of the college football playoff. I'm not condoning it. It's a raw deal. I think this is completely different, though. Completely different. Like, this is clear cut. Miami, you haven't played anybody and have lost the 2 teams. And Alabama has played pretty monstrous teams. Don't get me wrong. They've lost some bad ones. The Oklahoma loss is probably the worst one they have on their schedule. But then, so to be honest with you, I'm throwing Miami out of the conversation if you want real outrage. What about South Carolina?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Was
Yeah.
if
Like, so
anybody has a right to be upset, but they lost to Alabama.
and that's fair.
Granted,
But I'm
it
just
was close. It was
but
27-25. So, but then you'll have people also saying, "What about Ole Miss?"
it's the same thing. Like, so Ole Miss, South Carolina, by virtue of losing to Bama, they get ranked below, and I agree with that. But to me, I think Miami should probably be ranked below that,
So,
and below South Carolina and yeah, the other team we're talking about. Wait,
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah, Ole Piss. Sorry.
So let's go this route. Okay, well, let's talk about. Okay, I got Ole Miss's schedule up right now.
Yeah, I got South Carolina. So
They lost to an unranked Kentucky,
okay,
20-17. They beat
Okay.
South Carolina 27-3.
That's
They
a good
lost
win.
to LSU close, who was ranked at the time, ranked 13th.
Yeah,
And then go to the second to last week of the year, they lose to Florida 24-17.
that's a bad loss.
Okay.
I know Florida got hot, but that's a bad loss.
Then you look at South Carolina.
Yeah, South
They
Carolina
lost to a 16th ranked LSU.
Yep.
Who, by the way, is not ranked right now.
In a game they should have. Let's be honest, in a game South Carolina should have won.
They lost to Ole Miss.
Yep.
They lost to Alabama close.
Yep.
And then one out. And their win out was a 10th ranked Texas A&M, a 23rd ranked Missouri, and a 12th ranked Clemson.
On the road.
Yes. So if I'm going to look at any of these schedules and say any of them have an argument, it's going to be South Carolina over Ole Miss solely because of what happened down the stretch and who they beat.
I can agree
and
with
the
you.
way they beat them. And the way they beat them. They beat Oklahoma 35-9. They beat Vanderbilt 28-7. Alabama didn't beat Vanderbilt. The only thing they have over these two teams, realistically, is that Alabama beat South Carolina
And Ole Miss.
Who lost to Ole Miss.
But see, that's what I'm saying, though, Joey. The head-to-heads, I feel like, have to be the ultimate tiebreaker here.
Alabama did not play Ole Miss this year.
No, okay. But they beat South Carolina, though.
They beat South Carolina.
And South Carolina lost to Ole Miss.
South Carolina lost to Ole Miss.
So
realistically, Ole Miss has the tougher spot of being the first team out, or should be the first team out.
Yeah, but so you're basically, my point is, I feel like all the SEC teams can make an argument, and I'm not trying to bash Miami too hard here, but the proof's on the paper, man. Like Miami, where is, let's see the signature wins, right? Virginia Tech by 4 points. Is that the one we're circling here? I mean, they beat the crap out of Florida 41-17 early in the season. I mean, I know Louisville was ranked when they played, but they lose a shootout to them. Florida State's a dumpster fire this year, and then they lose to Georgia Tech. Now, don't get me wrong, Georgia Tech gave Georgia a run for the money. But then you lose to Syracuse. I mean, it's just, it looks like murderer's row of bad teams.
I think they look
what I mean?
I think they look at it. They're trying to look at it from the standpoint of, hey, don't look at the fact that we lost to these teams and where they're ranked. Look at the fact that we lost close to these teams at their home stadium. I'm sorry, Carrier Dome is not Death Valley. The freaking wherever Georgia Tech plays is not Kyle Field. Like, those aren't exactly the toughest places to play in college football. So,
and then how do you expect to lose 2 out of the last 3 and be still in it? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, you made the point of, what have you done for me lately? And that's it. They've shown they're not a great team right now.
Is it bad? Does it make it look bad that the fact that we're having this conversation a year later and it involves an ACC team just like it did a year before? Yes, they are two different scenarios, but it's the fact that they're both ACC teams.
It doesn't change it. I think it changes the fact of ACC. Handle your business. Well, okay. Totally different circumstance for last year. I'm talking about for this year. ACC, handle your business. Last year, Joey, you can't compare last year to this year. You really can't. You really, really can't. There's nothing.
I mean,
like,
I'm only saying
there's no similarities.
I'm only saying it because people are saying it.
Well,
So I'm bringing up like, hey, if you're going to bring that up, okay, I'll bring it up here in this circle here. This is what they're saying. Do I agree with it? No, because last year Florida State handled their business, went undefeated, and got hosed in the selection.
But like, okay,
and this year, like you said, Miami did not handle business. They did not beat Georgia Tech like they should have, and they did not beat Syracuse like they should have. Miami was highly ranked all year.
Yeah, they lost.
And then just
losing.
And then just dropped it.
Yeah. No. Look, there were 3 at one point. I think the whole argument of well, Florida State got screwed last year and they're ACC, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying people that make that argument, because you've already said you don't agree with it. People that are making that argument are just still sour grapes over the freaking not making the college football playoff last year.
I just think it's the tinfoil hat kind of committee that goes, oh, they've got a thing against the ACC.
Well, exactly. Tinfoil conspiracy theorists.
Right.
Don't have a better conference. I don't know. Don't focus all your priorities on basketball. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
Also, I don't know how they make the conference schedules, but their conference schedule did not help them whatsoever either.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're trying to be like, hey, disregard everything you give credit for on the other side and don't hold it against us. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, just because we're in a formally major conference, like other than Clemson, and I guess Florida State with last year, and then Florida State with Jameis and stuff. Consistently, who's a really good ACC team, right? Like,
I'm not going to count SMU because they just joined the conference.
That's hilarious to me, by the way. I really hope they add on to that 30 for 30 if they end up winning the national championship, being like rebirth or something like that from the death penalty.
Oh yes, that would be like, I'd be ecstatic if they did that. That makes me wonder how many. So we're talking conference championships.
Yep.
How many teams that have just joined a conference are going to their conference championship? Texas in the SEC.
Arizona State, right? Or am I wrong on that one? When did they join
the Big 10?
That's the Big 12.
I feel like there were. Let's find out. So we know we definitely know Texas. We know Army.
Texas Army.
Oregon.
Well, SMU. Oregon.
Yeah, like
basically, if you change the conference, there's a good chance you're in the in the conference. Well, that brings up a good point though too. You think not playing, like this being their first year in conferences, not used to playing these guys, is giving them a competitive advantage? You know what I mean? Like these teams don't know how to prepare.
Like they don't have that much film on them.
I don't want to say film, but like I guess there's a different feel for a game, right? Like, oh, I know this coach likes to do this in this scenario just by feel of the game, kind of thing. I guess it'd be my main thing, but maybe I don't know. But Oregon just looks phenomenal. I can see them running in.
I look at Texas, and it's when they played everybody, they were ranked. They played a 10th ranked Michigan and beat them in the Big House. They played an 18th ranked Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry and waxed them. Lost to Georgia 30-15. Beat at the time ranked Vanderbilt. Went through the gauntlet of Florida, Arkansas, and Kentucky, and then had their Thanksgiving weekend rivalry against Texas A&M back again. Which
the thing with Texas is, I don't know, man. Quinn Ewers gives me the feeling of, man, he can either win the game or he is going to lose it in spectacular fashion. Like it's never been consistent. I would, I like his arm strength. I like the talent in general. It's just I always you never feel secure, right? Does that make sense?
Does this game against Georgia, is this the biggest game he's played in? Like he played in the Sugar Bowl. He played in the Sugar Bowl, right?
That will be the biggest game so far. Until if he plays Georgia in the quarterfinals, It's going to be a big game. I don't think it's the biggest game because that semifinals directly led to the college football championship. Now, if they goes and plays SMU, could you imagine Texas versus SMU? That state's going to go nuts.
You know, it's really crazy that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at as we're looking at the bracket together on the screen.
Mhm.
You know, there's a realistic path. Because don't they I think they reseed after this week.
Well, yeah. Well, it will be set. Oh, you're talking about no?
Like, I don't think the winner of Indiana Georgia plays Texas.
I think they do because if you look
You have
at because if you look at the lines, it's showing direct lines to each bracket, right? So 7-10 would play to 12.
But would Arizona State, if they beat Penn State, would they play Boise?
Yeah,
Or they reseed it and they'd have them play Oregon?
I'm not 100% sure. Let me double check on that one while you're talking.
So if they reseed, there's a realistic chance that the semifinal could be an all SEC semifinal. Because Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and then you'd have Texas.
No reseeding.
No reseeding. Okay, so Indiana, Georgia goes to Texas.
Yep.
Whatever bowl. I guess the only thing that changes is what bowl they're playing in.
Yeah. That's not determined yet, just because I think they try to do it by
it's
competitive advantage.
Yeah, it's like a geographic thing. Like Oregon they'll probably go
Oregon to the Rose Bowl,
Fiesta Bowl. I think Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl are the semifinals.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, so
yeah.
For instance, like if the Sugar Bowl is one of them, they're probably going to send Texas, or if the Cotton Bowl is one of them, I'm sure they're going to send Texas to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah,
right, like something like that. So, was there anything else you want to add about the college football playoff? That's going to be interesting down the stretch. It'd be fun to see the way it plays out, for sure.
I'm excited for it. Like, yes, my team's not in it, but I want to see this play out. I want to see playoff games at stadiums that are the school stadiums. I want to see.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll be funny. It's like, hey, you're the Fiesta Bowl and the Sugar Bowl champion all in the same year,
right? All the swag for the guys.
I did hear Pat McAfee say that what they should have done was keep the semifinals the New Year's 6.
Yeah.
And then the other 4 are just regular bowl games as they were. And then just make the first 2 rounds those home games, which I wouldn't have minded that.
Nah, I mean,
that would have been cool as hell to have. I mean,
a quarterfinal game.
Let's just bring it back up again. You get a freaking quarterfinal playoff game on the blue turf.
Right.
Oh,
dude, the college football playoff would have a nightmare if that was the actual case. But yeah, it could happen. I mean, all right. So let's move right along here. Let's talk about the Pelicans, Joey, our other hometown team.
All right, let me get back into depressed mode. Hold on. Oh, okay. All right, I'm ready.
Injuries, and more injuries have been the story of this team this year. It hasn't been pretty, man. It really just has not been pretty. Zion, the latest report is that it's going to be 2 weeks out at least. BI apparently wants a winning environment. It's just, oh man, it's all over the place. I don't know. Is it time, honestly, in your opinion, is it time? I mean, it may not be able to be plausible till after the season, but is it time to finally just pull the Band-Aid off of the Zion Williamson experiment?
I'll be honest. I think they need to look at their team medical staff because there's a lot of soft tissue injuries that why is this a problem with us? Why is this a problem with the Pelicans?
Do they have an activation period?
Yeah, right. Are they following? Maybe they need to follow Coach Rizzi's plan.
Yeah.
I mean, hamstring, another hamstring, calf. Like, that's 3 of the big people. That's Alvarado. That's Williamson. That's Ingram. We should get Herb Jones back possibly for the Suns game. And then the thing that makes it kind of hurt a little more is that we need this help. Alfred Payton got waived.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, so what are we doing? Like, what is this grandmaster plan that we have? Like, all I'm seeing is that, you know, we're hitting the panic button, but there's no alarm going off.
I just think it's the injuries have been so insane. I said it in previous episodes that the fact that we've built our team, legitimately built the team around Zion, and he's not out there because we don't have a big man. Like we have rotating guys in there and have been playing serviceable, but the reason we don't have the traditional big is because we're space the floor, have 3-point shooters, and him drive into the lane. Well, we can't do that if he's not out there. And I think you get into real tricky waters if you build a team around somebody that you can't rely to be on the court. And Joey, I'm just gonna throw this out here. Do you even think Zion's that talented I shouldn't say talented. He's a very talented player. Is he that caliber of player where it's like you build a team around him, or is he a second piece, which isn't a bad thing?
I'll be honest. I mean, I think he can be that number one piece in the team. He's just unlucky. He gets
Yeah, I
hurt.
mean,
He can't for some reason he can't stay healthy. And these team doctors that they pay thousands upon thousands of dollars and probably put millions of dollars in research into these players, that's just for some reason, like everywhere else has it figured out but us. And it's hurting us to the point where, I mean, like they just got that deal where they're putting it on free TV and
right?
like, hey guys, look at this amazing team we have, but we suck.
No, it's not even that. It's like, hey, do you want to see Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, and
Psych.
and Trey Murphy, all of them on the court together, playing together as an all-star cast? Nope.
Yeah, psych.
It's like, hey, on Badley's they're all healthy at the same time, but on the free one they can't be. But
maybe that's the problem. They're not able to now afford those doctors in science to figure out the team.
That's where the cut corners at. They can't have the activation period because they can't pay people to be there in town that time.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Joey, why don't we wrap this show up with an update on our stars? I know we've been a little heavy on the Saints and NFL. We're trying to get the ATS show off the ground and everything. So I know we've been neglecting them a little bit. So I wanted to give you the last, I don't know, however long you want to go for, buddy. I wanted you to take this time and divert it and keep it to the stars. I'm going to give it to you in just 1 second. And that's why I left it last on the show, Doc. Take it away, buddy.
So the Dallas Stars, 16-8-0 on the season, have 32 points in the standings. They are third in the Central Division behind a surprising Minnesota Wild and Winnipeg Jets. I did not see these teams being this good. I saw Minnesota kind of figuring it out, and I thought that they would be up there, at least in the top three, not number one. I didn't see Winnipeg. This came out of nowhere, and everyone is saying that. Winnipeg just came out of nowhere to be this hot team that, no one expected. So people cannot say that the Jets suck because the Winnipeg Jets do not suck.
The United States
Jets. That's reserved for the New York Football Jets, not the Winnipeg Hockey Jets.
So let me ask you real quick about the Jets, just since you're talking about them. Would you equate that to, just so our listeners know that may not know hockey that well, like, would you say kind of like ahead of schedule, kind of like when the Giants when they hired Dayball, nobody expected them to be good, or like last year with the Texans, everybody thought the Texans were going to suck.
I just thought they were going to fall off. Yeah, I didn't think that they were going to be. I thought there was going to be some kind of hangover because they competed for number one in the Central last year. I just thought that there was going to be some kind of fall off at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
The fact that it's a boat race for the top of the Central is what's surprising to me. Minnesota last year, they scored 87 points and, were eliminated fairly early going into the end of the season.
Okay.
Winnipeg 110 to Dallas Stars 113 last year. The things I hear from Winnipeg are, they're not selling tickets. There's a possibility that the franchise is going to move again, which would be the third time that Winnipeg has had a team leave, which I don't want to see happen. I love watching the games in Winnipeg where they're having their famous whiteouts. Having Connor Hellebuyck as their goalie has done nothing but help this team. Him coming off of a Vezina. So we shall see. It's still early December. You're kind of getting your place in the standings in the beginning of the year so that you can make that push for the playoffs after what is typically an all-star game, which is now a 4 nations face-off, which I kind of like this idea. So what they're doing instead of the traditional all-star game, it's going to be the U.S., Canada, Finland, and Sweden, because those are the most
prominent countries.
Most prominent countries. And what they'll do is it'll be like a week or a week and a half. Some of the games will be played in Canada. Some of the games will be played in Boston.
So it's almost essentially like a World Cup just for 4 teams.
Yeah. You could call it that. They do have the World Cup of hockey that they haven't done since 2016. I think was the last time.
They got a mini version of this.
Yeah, Stars have a really good representation for Finland. Esa Lindell, Miro Heiskanen, and then Rope Hintz for Finland. I'm double checking because I only saw the Finnish side. I didn't see any of the others.
Not
just
the
seeing if
side?
Not
the incomplete side, just the Finnish side?
Yeah.
Sorry, bad joke there, folks. Bad joke there.
How dare you? Yeah, so the only other Stars players to make it was for Team USA is Jake Ottinger, who is continuing to be the same Jake Ottinger, winning games.
There you go.
They kind of struggled. They had that weekend in Finland. It was great to see that. It was great to see the 3 guys, be back home and play in front of their families. But they lost, so I think that was more a trip of learning.
Yeah.
Speaking of learning, woke up this morning to learn that Tyler Seguin is going to be out 4 to 6 months. He has a hip injury that requires surgery, and I think it's less about something that has happened to him this year, and I think it's just a wear and tear. Because coming out of the bubble, he had hip problems.
Okay.
Missed most of the season. Came back and just kind of hasn't been able to be 100%. I think beginning of this year was like the first time he was feeling the best.
Okay.
So Jim Nill put out a statement saying that
I was about to say we have the statement right here.
Yeah, that was posted on their social media channels. Dallas Stars general manager Jim Nill announced today that forward Tyler Seguin will undergo surgery on Thursday, December 5th, to repair a left side FAI, femoral asset. I'm just going to share the screen so that y'all can read it, because for those watching on YouTube, because I can't read what this says.
Let's stick with FAI.
Yeah, we'll stick with FAI.
And
he's expected to miss 4 to 6 months. The surgery will be performed by Dr. Brian T. Kelly, not to be confused with Brian Kelly at LSU, at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York. So he's in good hands.
I mean, if it was Brian Kelly, though, it would explain a lot why LSU has been slumping.
Yeah,
he's been moonlighting as a surgeon.
So they're gonna probably put him on the long-term IR.
Yeah, I think so.
What'll happen with that is that frees up whatever cap he was using up, and I want to say he's using up $9 million in cap space.
So he's getting a replacement.
Right. The rumors are I saw a rumor just now when I was kind of looking around that Evgeny Malkin from the Pittsburgh Penguins
really
would be a good pick. But the problem is he has a no trade clause, and unless they just say, hey, we need to break it up, like Pittsburgh is struggling. They're not the same team that they were, but at the same time,
that's a name. That is certainly a name. Like, interesting. Okay. Interesting.
So I've heard him, and then I heard Mikael Granlund from San Jose. That would be a good pickup, just to kind of
study the waters.
Just to fill that void that he's, he's left. they did pick up. I have to look at his pronunciation, or I'll just pull up the name again. When you read this name, I'm telling you, you'll look at me like, yeah, I'm glad you're not trying it.
It's
But they did pick him
Justin
up from. Go for it.
High Conwayne? Higher Conwayne?
So it's, from what I saw, it's Rickavian.
Oh, Rickavian. Oh, the H is silent. Okay. Rickavian?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, not
They
terrible. I
picked
wasn't
him
that
up.
far off.
So he's been at their AHL affiliate in Cedar Park, the Texas Stars, doing pretty well. It's going to be interesting to see this next couple games how they're going to do without one of their better players, and
So,
just trying to grow from that.
So what you're saying is that they're gonna recall Justin right now. I'm not gonna say his last name. They're gonna recall Justin right now to essentially give him a tryout. You would say to fill that role that Sagan's leaving behind.
I think just to add a little bit of depth.
Okay. And still try to make a move.
Yeah, because they still, I mean, their roster's still stacked with talent. Matt Duchene's their leading goal scorer. Mason Marchment's lighting it up. You got Rope, Stankoven, Jamie Benn. Jason Robertson hasn't been doing as well as he has in the past, but he's still getting points. He's still getting assists. I mean, this team is built to make a run. And it shows when the opponents they play. It's one of those things where, so like for football, again, you're new to hockey, so
yeah,
it's when the Saints had Drew Brees and we were really good. You had to prepare to play the Saints.
Yeah.
These teams are preparing to play the Stars.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, they make deep playoff runs the last few years. So I mean,
yeah. So you're taking this team seriously. You're not.
Oh,
you're not being lackadaisical about it. So I'm still hopeful. I still think we can do. I still think the Stars can pull it out.
Still a lot of time, buddy. Still a lot of time.
It's going to be. Don't be surprised if you see a move made in the next couple weeks to try to fill that void. Like if they put him on long-term IR, which you've heard me talk about this with.
Looks like a possibility.
You've heard me talk about this with Vegas. They do that with Mark Stone every year, and then when the playoffs start, they've got that cap full, so they get to the playoffs and they go, "Oh, Mark Stone, you're no longer on long-term IR. You're on the roster now." To get around they say it's to get around the salary cap rule, but
I mean, look, if it's not against the rules, you can't hate on them, right?
It's one of those things where, you fuss at somebody because they may not pay their taxes or they may do this or that. But in all actuality, when you look at it, it's, well, these are the rules that are set for me, and I utilize those rules to get where I'm at. So that's going to have to be, Vegas has shown that the NHL will not do anything about it. So let's go ahead and do it. And when people fuss at us, we're going to go, well, Vegas didn't. They didn't get yelled at, so we shouldn't get yelled at. I did see. So the Dallas Stars have a really good podcast, the Podman Rush.
Shout out.
And they were talking about, best top lines that the team has had over the course of their history. And he starts naming them off. Like, think of it like, oh man, Drew Brees, Marcus Colston, Joe Horn, Reggie Bush, Deuce McAllister. Like, you start kind of getting that, like, oh man, the good old days.
Nostalgia.
And he starts going, they're like, I mean, you can't beat Mike Modano, Brett Hull, Yuri Lettinen. I'm like, oh man, the cup winning forwards, like that was our line right there. Then they start going, oh, Modano, Lettinen, and for a little bit it was I'm blanking on his name, but it was a guy that you forget was a star. I'm like, oh man, that was crazy. Man. Then they start getting into like 2010s, like this current brand of the Stars, like this logo, this color scheme.
Yeah, this iteration of them, right?
The Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and Val Nichushkin. And it's like, okay, all right, we're hitting on something. And then when they got to that 2019-2020 roster, when they said Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Alexander Radulov, I'm like, Oh my God, that if that team could have stayed together for another 2 years, I'm without a doubt have a feeling in my heart that they would have won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Oh, at least one.
Easily.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Radulov wanted to go home. Let me say unfortunately, like
More power
I'm
to
wishing,
him.
yeah, because when they talked about like Russian hockey, like you thought about like Alexander Radulov was like one of the top guys, with how well he played and how tough he was.
And some people just
Nothing was more. I have to pull up this picture of him. Nothing was more intimidating than seeing him sitting on the bench, smiling, and his two front teeth are missing, and you're just seeing him like,
you showed me this
yeah,
before.
we did
I wanna
that.
say.
Like, here's a good one. Like this is prototypical hockey player right here, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Oh no, 100%, 100% with those big old that gap in his fucking teeth missing.
Like,
Of course. Oh yeah,
bro, I miss that line.
no, 100%.
It was like I'd play NHL 20, and I'd be like, Radulov would be the one scoring like every goal.
Yeah, dude. I
God,
mean, we can't fault the guy for wanting to go home. I know, man. I know. We talk about it a lot. But look, is there anything else you want to add about Dallas on this one?
They play tonight on TNT and Max, so
yeah, I think I'll probably more likely give them a watch tonight just to catch up. There's nothing.
And Victory Plus has been doing a really good job. They've had a couple. I saw on Reddit they had one complaint out of the whole deal. It was just kind of like a buffering thing. Just the resolution wasn't as great, but other than that, this is what the Pelicans should have done.
Look, the buffering stuff's going to be expected. You got to work out the kinks of any kind of live stream. But look, I've heard nothing but good things. Yeah, that's actually the first thing I've really heard when I've watched it before. I haven't had any problems with buffering, clear stream for me. So may just be internet select areas or something. But hey, I'm interested to see how it goes the rest of the season. Like I said, they're right there. They're only 4 points back of Winnipeg and only 6 points back of Minnesota. Still a lot of season left to go. Hopefully Sagan comes back even sooner, but hip surgery is a little serious. But I'm interested to see how they use that money for sure. What kind of move gets made? I did not hear Malkin from the Penguins.
It was one of those things where it was like a guy made a video. He said, "I've been sleeping on this rumor for a while," and it's like sources, my bro, like one of those. Like, so I don't,
Gotcha.
I don't believe it for a second.
It'd be interesting though.
It would be. I think we'd be more likely to get the guys from San Jose, or even just say, "Hey, let's see what we got down in Cedar Park," and then go from there.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Joey, I think we're gonna wrap this old episode up. Unless there's anything you want to add. I think we covered a lot. We just kind of really sped through it.
There hasn't been a lot of like big news. I mean, like the Juan Soto thing is kind of taken over.
I'm waiting on that to become a little more concrete. I really don't want to report on, he met with this team.
I did see that the bid is now at 13 years, $625 million.
From the Red Sox?
From, I don't know who from. It just said this is what the bid is at.
Well, remember Shane mentioned that as the bid on the ATS bike. Yeah, he heard that rumor. So I mean, you're the second person that.
I did also see that
$625 million though.
That'll all get kicked down the road to like they'll be paid when we're 60.
I saw one thing today. Is it Snell's deal? It may be Snell's deal, or no, it was some guy the Dodgers signed last year to essentially it was a 1-year deal, but they deferred the money, so until 2039 he's getting $850,000 a year. That's how his contract reigns out.
He signed a 1-year deal, and then he's getting what?
So like basically he signed a 1-year deal to play last year, but the way they structured the contract was that he has money that's coming for him that's still owed on the contract. So they basically like, here's your base salary of let's say $1 million for this year, and then you'll get the rest in deferred money, the other 12 over the next 15 years. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, it's getting ridiculous with these contracts. It really is.
Snell got a
I know Snell got deferred money too.
yeah. He's got 36.4 mil till 2029. Then there's a club option for another 10 million in 2030, and then he's an unrestricted free agent in 2031, and then beginning in 2035 and ending in 2046, he's going to get paid $5.5 million a year.
And see, look, I was reading a lot on Reddit and reading a bunch of stuff on this. I feel like the Shohei thing, the more I think about it, I know I've come on here and said, like, oh, Shohei opened Pandora's box with him. This has been going on. I think Shohei kind of brought it to the forefront, and now teams are kind of using it as a crutch. But Shohei was making so much money off of advertisements that he could sign a contract like this. Most guys can't afford to do stuff like that. But look, it's a dangerous slope, in my opinion, if they're going to keep structuring contracts like this, because then you're going to get to a point where guys aren't making money until they're 65 years old. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to defer money that far down the road. I do want to talk about one thing. Did we refresh memory if we talked about it or not? I think we did on the previous podcast, but I want to bring it up again because of how absolutely dumb it is. It's the golden bat rule.
We touched on it, I think, before the last episode, before the ATS episode. For those of you who are not in the know, about this, you're better off for not knowing. But now we're about to bring you in, so
prepare to get dumber by listening to this.
Yeah, welcome to our hell. The golden bat rule is no matter what place you are in the lineup, at any situation, you could announce that you want to have a golden at bat where you take your best hitter and put them up at the plate, whether it's their turn or not, to have a shot to get y'all either in the game, hit a home run, whatever. It is so stupid.
So dumb.
This is where we need to stop. This is where baseball needs to just be like, all right, we're not going to touch the game for like 10 years.
Look, the bigger bases worked.
The bigger bases were for safety. I get that. Like, I'm not going to complain about that. And they didn't really serve any difference.
Limiting the shifts, the pitch clock, all that stuff was practical and needed to happen. This is just dumb. And I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it more interesting and stuff like that. But you are killing any kind of, like, I guess, nostalgia to the game. You're essentially remaking the game, in my opinion. And I may sound hyperbolic by saying that, but man, what's next, Joey? Seriously, what's next? Are we going to have them playing on rollerblades? Like, I feel like we're 2 hops and skip away from having the Futurama version of baseball that we had, that they showed in that show, where they have robots playing and stuff like that. It's so stupid, this rule proposal.
I saw a meme earlier today. It was Rob Manfred's Major League Baseball in 2030. And it was like, your best bat, games are limited to 3 innings. Pitchers have a pitch limit of 12. Your best batter gets every at bat, and any player found to delay the game gets executed on site.
I mean, if you're being Manfred, like, how do you feel like when you make a dumb statement like that you have the majority of the sports world just donking on you, being like, dude, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life? Like Pat McAfee, they couldn't even get through the statement of reading the tweet that he said, like, that was describing his statement, without dying laughing. It's so dumb.
It makes no sense whatsoever. You know, there's no reason to add this. That's what the DH was the reason that, like, that was the reason, whatever reason they want to create the golden at bat rule is the reason they created the DH.
Yeah.
You know, leave it alone. You don't need to change it. You might as well just put, instead of 9 people in a lineup, you might as well put 12. Have 4 DHs. Like, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
It's not, to quote Taylor Twellman, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It makes no sense. No
you want to
sense.
become more watchable on TV. Okay, figure out a way to fix the TV aspect of it.
Or the presentation. I mean,
the presentation, but also the availability of games.
that's very true as well.
I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm lucky that I get a lot of nationally televised games. I can't watch them unless I pay, what is it, $20 a month for MLB TV for just the Yankees?
It's ridiculous. It is honestly insane.
Like, figure out a way to fix that and then work on fixing the game. Or how about this crazy idea? Don't have 163 games. Have like 90.
Look, Joey, we can have an entire conversation about how to fix baseball, and we really could. And I think, and it's never going to happen. And I feel like it would switch a lot. Joey, what's the best thing about the NFL? One of the best things
for 17 weeks out of the year for the regular season.
That's very true.
And every game is important, and you're not. It's basically you get to miss it.
That I guess where I was going, those are all great points. Where I was going is, Jeff, where I was going
because honestly, listen, and this is just my opinion. Honestly, football is doing things to make sure that, or is trying to find ways for people to hate football, i.e., what is a catch, and the terrible officiating, and the fact that they won't allow fans into the discussion like other football leagues have done, where they can hear what the ref's saying.
Yeah.
When talking about replay, like if they did that, if they were more open about it, at least hear what the people are saying in these discussions.
I'll just agree with you. What I will say that they do right is it's parity, right? Every year. Now, granted, there's a few teams that you're like, okay, these guys really stink and probably aren't going to do much this year. But then you got teams that surprise you and actually are competitive. In baseball, I feel like it's like, okay, well, you got the teams that spent the most money and everybody else. Right? I mean, don't get me wrong. You got some teams that get scrappy. You get a money ball situation happening here, or you get teams that just develop talent really well. I mean, the Astros did a really good job down a few years ago. I mean, with their little mini dynasty. But man, now there's just no parity. Like if you're a Kansas City Royals fan, you're like, oh, opening day, and we're mathematically eliminated. Or we're Florida Marlins fan, and opening day, and we're mathematically eliminated. It's why would you go if you know it's a subpar product?
So you talk about parity.
Yeah.
In sports. Okay.
Yes. Now, granted, there are top heavy, like the Chiefs are always in it. I knew we were going with this. The Chiefs are always in. You got the Eagles. Like, yes, you do have organizations that are normally at the top, but you also have teams that come out of nowhere. Like, look at Houston last year. Absolutely horrible. And then all of a sudden now flip a switch. They're constant contenders, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's still that little itsy bitsy teeny weeny bit of hope. Like, look at the Saints at the beginning of the season. We had absolutely no faith that they were going to do anything this year. And they come out like gangbusters the first 2 weeks of the season. We're like, holy shit, black and gold Super Bowl. But, I mean, we came crashing down to earth, but that's the thing. Like, stuff like that happens in the NFL all the time. I feel like in baseball, there's nice stories every now and then. But most of the time, we know by December, January, February, who the teams that are contending are going to be. Like, going into last year, Joey, were you doubting that it was going to be the Yankees versus the Dodgers in the World Series? I wasn't.
No,
and that's what I mean.
At some point, you hit that stride of, okay, I know who it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
In everything.
Like, look at the NBA. They, what was it, 4 or 5 straight years? It was the Cavs versus the Warriors in the finals.
I'm looking that up right now, actually, as we speak.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's a perfect example as well. But if you look at the NBA, when their highest ratings are when multiple teams are vying for spots, right? Like, I feel like it's necessary because if you get too top heavy, then you're just pandering to 2 fan bases, and you don't really want to do that. You want to expand it as much as you can, right? But some breaking news. Oh,
go ahead.
Breaking news while we're on the air. Trevor Lawrence out for the season. Jags quarterback. He's having shoulder surgery. So
I saw that. I saw that when we're
just
getting set up.
Yeah. So methinks that means that he had a serious shoulder injury that he was trying to play through, and they probably saw him after his concussion. No. Before that, because he was out with shoulder stuff beforehand. So I think they probably just told him, "Hey, man, we're not doing anything. Just get this cleaned up and come back fresh next year."
Okay. So I'll say this on your parody.
Yeah,
comment.
Go back to parody comment.
Okay. In Major League Baseball, and I'm going to go 2015 being the first year because that's
modern-ish.
I'll go, modern-ish. Last 10 years, essentially. Last 10 seasons.
Yeah.
You had the Kansas City Royals, the Chicago Cubs, the Houston Astros, the Boston Red Sox, the Washington Nationals, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Rangers.
Okay.
8 different champions across that. Okay.
That's fair.
And I'm doing the big 4.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So the NHL, you had the Chicago Blackhawks, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Washington Capitals, the St. Louis Blues, who are a wild card team.
Nice.
I think that year.
Those are always fun.
Tampa Bay Lightning, Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights, Florida Panthers. Okay. 8 again.
NFL's probably gonna be one of the worst ones because it's gonna be
NFL, Denver Broncos, New England Patriots, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, LA Rams, and that's it. So it's 6. Meanwhile, in the NBA, you had Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I thought the NBA was going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, no, they had the random Kawhi year.
I think Raptors. if the Warriors would have won that, it would have been
worse.
But they were in that one.
Yeah.
So 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10.
Go back to the baseball one real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
We can all agree bought a championship that year.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying loaded up.
No, yeah.
And that's my point. And who was the one before that?
The Houston Astros.
They were getting to the point where they were starting to load up.
When I got to a repeat, I didn't say it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Can we roll down? Because I want to see the teams that really loaded up money.
24 Dodgers, 23 Rangers, 22 Astros.
Yes.
21 Braves.
I would say yes. I believe so.
20 Dodgers.
Yes.
19 Nationals.
I believe that's
the year after they got rid of
yeah, I think it's more of a scrappy team. They were a wild card
Bryce
team.
Harper.
Yeah.
Boston Red Sox.
They spent money.
17 was the Astros.
I think they were starting to get people really going at that point. I don't know if that was fully money yet.
They were hitting that stride.
And the trash cans. Anyway.
Yes. Then you had 16 was the Cubs.
They brought a championship, yes.
15 was the Royals.
No. See, that's where that was a team that was built up through drafting and people and
So then it's Giants, Sox, Giants, Cardinals, Giants, Yankees.
Yeah, it's a lot of that's kind of my point on what I mean with baseball. It's like by December we know like who spent the most money, who's really going after it this year, kind of thing, right? Like,
right.
And that's my point. But no, it's really eye opening when I make that argument with parity, because the championship is a hell of a trump card when you look at it, for sure. I think you have to look at more at like playoffs in general of teams that were competing that way. But that's semantics, because then you look at basketball, half the league makes the playoffs. So it's really a kind of discussion just how you personally feel.
Are the playoffs too big?
In the NBA, yes.
In most of these sports.
NFL is getting close. I actually really like the
NFL. The NFL has
close.
They're 2 teams away from half of the league making it.
Yeah, they're close. I do like the 7 teams though. I do like the new one in the MLB as well. I don't want to crap on the MLB. And I think the NBA could, but at this point, they're just doing it for entertainment value. Because I mean, look, at this point, you get 10 teams make the playoffs technically with the play-in tournament. So it's like 10 teams don't make the playoffs technically.
Yeah, I feel like the NBA is trying too hard.
Yeah. I mean, but
the thing that kind of hurt them was the fact that I think that Golden State and Cleveland made it every year, and then they happened to luck out a little bit with the bubble.
Oh yeah, because the Lakers not winning a championship if it wasn't for that bubble.
Well, not even that, but you ended the season early, so then you're like, okay, well, what teams had a shot? Let's bring them in. They're going to play a couple games, see if they can make it, and then these are our playoffs.
Yep.
So then they took that and said, "Ooh, that's a play-in tournament. Let's do that."
Well, that's what it came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I don't dislike the play-in tournament. I think it's fun, but yeah, I can see where it dilutes it when you start having all those teams make the playoffs. But it's definitely been a fun discussion, and we've gone down a giant rabbit hole here with parody, and I love it. But Joey, is there anything else we want to talk about today?
I got nothing.
I got nothing, man. We were wrapping up beforehand and just went down a whole nother rabbit hole. But I love it. And that's why we do this. We love talking sports. We love just hanging out and shooting the crap with y'all. So we'll be back next week with back to our normal schedule-ish. We'll have the Noble Steady recap show on Tuesday, I believe. I think we agreed upon. And then Thursday, we're going to come a little later with the ATS show. That will be Thursday night game, maybe a little iffy for you all looking for Week 15. But we'll definitely have the rest of the games. And then me and Joey were talking about an exciting format that we want to get into that we may be coming down the pipeline with. We got to work up the bugs on some of them. But it's going to be exciting, going to be a lot of fun, a little more interactive, and we can really let our comedy side out a little bit. Joey, is there any other announcements you want to make right now?
No, not really.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap this show up. We'll get going, and we'll let you go about y'all's day. Thanks for joining us again. Peace.